Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about wide receiver Jarvis Landry and him signing with the New Orleans Saints. And this is really, really, really huge news. Huge news. Some of us probably expected it. Some of us probably didn't, like myself, if you followed old traditional New Orleans Saints ways. But I guess it's time for us to throw that completely out of the window because the Saints organization has completely lost their minds. I mean, they are going crazy signing people that we all expect for them to sign. I mean, I cannot believe what I'm witnessing right now. But it is a great day in the Who Dat Nation, of course, but I have something that is even bigger, in my opinion, than the signing of Jarvis Landry. This is a proud day for the Who Dat Nation. It really is, because my son, Paxton, Pac-Man Jones, has officially became a member of the Who Dat Nation, because if you check him out, he is rocking his official Alvin Kamara jersey. This is Paxton's first jersey. New Orleans Saints, of course. So he is now officially a member of the Who Dat Nation. Man. Beautiful. Beautiful. But anyway, but seriously, folks, I mean, the signing of Jarvis Landry is huge for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, this is a position of need that the Saints have been trying to focus on for the last 2 to 3 years. And it seems to me that the New Orleans Saints understand that they need some playmakers at that position. Look, some people got mad at me. They were cussing me out, sending me scathing emails about my take on the wide receiver group last year. I mean, it had to be you or Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder, because there's nowhere in the world that you saw what we saw, or in this case, I saw, and thought that that was a formidable bunch on the field. Now, your fandom probably calls you to say, man, I'm going to roll with my guys because those are my guys, but they ain't the guys, man. Those guys were not going to get you where you need to be. It was a matter of time before those guys fold like a cheap tent, and they are not anywhere to be found. I mean, somebody tell me about the heroics of a Traquan Smith. Somebody tell me the heroics of a Kevin White. I mean, honestly, man, those guys have done absolutely nothing. I mean, Traquan will give you a touchdown or two. He'll give you 5, because throughout his entire career, for some apparent reason, he always ends up with 5 touchdowns in spite of very little production. But the New Orleans Saints want to be there in the end. Making moves like signing Jarvis Landry and signing Tyrann Mathieu are moves that's going to get you over the hump, not just to the playoffs, but when you get to the playoffs, when it's time for somebody to make plays, when it's time for somebody to get behind the defender and make a big catch in a big-time moment, look no further than a possible interception by Tyrann Mathieu or an unbelievable catch in Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry gives you that good threat at the slot position, a guy that can work the inside. Okay, and also, you know, they can do those mill routes. You know, I think somebody alluded to it. I think it was Mario. Shouts out to Mario. But mill routes are basically when you have, you know, a guy flanked on the outside, and then you have another guy on the inside. So you got a guy, for example, like a Michael Thomas, right, that can do like those dig routes. And then you'll have a guy like Chris Olave. You can have him send on those deep posts. They'll be on the same side. Teams kind of do this to try to go against cover 4. So, I mean, and you add Jarvis Landry in that, I mean, those mill routes are going to be absolutely incredible, man. So it's going to look good, man. You finally got somebody that can be there on third down. You need a third down, like a 3rd and 4, something like that, or 3rd and 2. You can throw the ball, and Jarvis Landry can get you that first down to help you extend the change. You know, Jarvis Landry's playing ability, he kind of reminds me a little bit of a smaller Anquan Bolden. Anquan Bolden isn't a guy that he was the fastest person in the world. He wasn't. But what he did was, man, he can hurt you in so many ways by extending drives, by catching those third down catches, rather it be on the sidelines, rather it be him catching the ball and fighting for some extra yards and being fundamentally sound. That's who Jarvis Landry kind of reminds me of, in this stage of his career. I'm not concerned about the stats of last year. I know some people are bringing that up. Of course, it's because he signs with the New Orleans Saints. What else is new? You bring up a person's shortcomings when they go to a smaller market team and completely blow up their achievements if they go to a bigger market team. For example, if Jarvis Landry, to me, would have signed with the Dallas Cowboys, it would have said 4-time Pro Bowl receiver Jarvis Landry signs with the Dallas Cowboys. But of course, he signs with the New Orleans Saints. He had 52 receptions, so many yards, and 2 touchdowns, his career lows now that he signed with the Saints. Go figure. But anyway, this guy, I'm not concerned about that at all. I'm not concerned about what happened last year. Guys get hurt. If I was doing that, I'd be concerned about Michael Thomas, which I am not. I'd be concerned about Jameis Winston, which I am not. Guys get injured and they come back, and as long as they have their heads on straight and they're focused and they're determined to get back on the field and play at a high level, they're going to do it. So as long as they have that mind frame, I have no problem with this. I'm excited to see what Jarvis Landry is going to do in the Saints uniform. Yes, this is another LSU player coming to the New Orleans Saints, something that the Saints under head coach Sean Payton doesn't have a history of doing. I mean, you can think about the wide receiver, Will Clapp has been here, guys that have been Saints since day one. I don't count Devery Henderson because Devery Henderson came before Sean Payton got here, so he was already on the roster. That's been a big old huge elephant that has been in the room. Does Sean Payton like LSU players? It seems like he had an infatuation with Ohio State players. There's so many Ohio State players inside of the locker room for the New Orleans Saints, and we're excited about it because those Ohio State players have been good, right? The Von Bells, the Marshawn Lattimores, the Malcolm Jenkins, so many different guys, that have come here. Pete Warner, so many of these guys from Ohio State have come in and contributed in an amazing way. But Saints fans would love to see more LSU players because LSU has just as much talent as Ohio State has. And for some apparent reason, it seems like, Sean Payton just doesn't hit the highway and hit the I-10, you know what I'm saying? With full wheel motion, heading down to Baton Rouge, because there's so much talent out there, and it seems like they just don't tap into it. And now all of a sudden, Sean Payton steps down as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and now we're getting guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry, and and guys are being considered, guys that went to LSU. And some people I seen, I posted on social media, of course, about this topic. I find it very ironic that Sean Payton leaves the New Orleans Saints, and now all of a sudden, they start signing LSU players. So the question has to be asked, like, did he have an issue with him? You have some people out there that's like, oh, man, you turning your back on Sean Payton. Y'all talking about Sean Payton. Y'all disrespecting him about what he did for the team. Whoa. Slow your roll. All right? Slow your roll. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to act as if, you're trying to bring logic into the conversation, but it's just a waste of time. Anybody that knows me knows that I have the utmost respect for Sean Payton. I have to be naive not to see the fact that Sean Payton has created a culture in New Orleans. The New Orleans Saints are the New Orleans Saints that we know and love now is because of Sean Payton. The teams that he put together, the offensive efficiency, the juggernauts they've been offensively over the past couple of years, not to mention him alongside Drew Brees, are going to be a Hall of Fame duo, in my humble opinion. All right. But you have to bring this fact to the forefront that they were not going after LSU players. So it's not there as if, somebody has a problem with Sean Payton. I don't. I think Sean Payton is an incredible coach. I think that he's done a wonderful job. And, I think no matter where he goes, I'm pretty sure he's going to come back into the league. Any team that he signs with is going to be better because his name is on the dotted line. and his name is associated with the organization. But they weren't bringing LSU players into the forefront. And I just like the direction the Saints are going in. Now, some people might say that the reason why they weren't doing these signings was because of Drew Brees and his mammoth contract. I don't believe that. I don't believe that the New Orleans Saints were taking a back seat because there were opportunities that the New Orleans Saints could get top-notch free agents. They just choose not to do so. There have been occasions where the Saints tried to go out and aggressively get a guy, and they talked to Drew about restructuring his contract, and he was willing to do it. I think a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, when the Saints tried to get Josh Norman, when he was in his prime, when he was out there balling, to come in to add to the defense, and Drew Brees was willing to renegotiate his contract. And all of the things that the Saints have done with Cam Jordan's contract, Lattimore's contract, Michael Thomas's contract, all these different things they've done to make themselves under the cap. Do you honestly believe that the New Orleans Saints couldn't move some things around in order to bring some guys in like Jarvis Landry, like a Tyrann Mathieu, guys that had that similar skill set in years past? I think that they did. I feel, I don't want to say I feel, but some people felt that Sean Payton thought that he could do it with anybody. His ego feels as if I can make any mediocre wide receiver look credible. And throughout history, you have to be honest, he has, because guys that come to this team that signed with the New Orleans Saints when they were out there balling, that includes Jimmy Graham, that includes Lance Moore, that includes guys like Pierre Thomas. Every single one of those guys were better as New Orleans Saints than any other team that they went to. I mean, Jimmy Graham, he struggled in Seattle more times than not. He didn't have the offensive efficiency, or he wasn't the offensive weapon he was in New Orleans in Seattle. Lance Moore, I think he went to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, and went to Pittsburgh. He was not a factor. You have Pierre Thomas. I mean, he had a few stops. I think he played a game in San Francisco. I mean, wasn't the same. So there are guys out there that Sean Payton has sprinkled his little offensive fairy dust on, and they have become really, really good and really solid players. So I think maybe the Saints were taking that for granted, but here was the biggest issue to me. Those guys were good, but when it came down to the postseason, like some of these, not those guys in particular, of course, those guys stepped up and rose to the occasion in the postseason. That includes Jimmy Graham. But when you have guys like Emmanuel Butler and Kevin White and Traquan Smith, guys like that, man, these guys ain't doing nothing, bro. Like these are guys that we hope, can pan out. And it was a bunch of guys that you hope that can pan out, but in big time situations, these guys weren't showing up, or they had really solid practice, like a Brandon Coleman, like Emmanuel Butler. They had like really good practices, but when it's time for the game, they ain't nowhere to be found. And that's something that you don't need. This is also a wake-up call to me for the wide receiver room and other positions, that the Saints are trying to find guys that are solid, that are playmakers, guys that have that fire, that have that passion, that have that dog mentality. They're not looking at the wide receiver group as projects anymore, which I can have an appreciation for, because once again, in big-time situations, you need guys to step up. And if these guys don't step up, then you're going to find yourself losing the football game. You need that playmaker. You need guys like Jarvis Landry, who has played on a high level. You need a guy like Chris Olave in college, played on a high level in the biggest stage. You need guys like Michael Thomas, who has had a history being on a high level in college, being at a high level on the professional ranks, as well as an all-pro, leading the league in receptions and receiving yards 1 year, offensive player of the year. Like, you need guys like that have that dog mentality, that have that second gear, that have, that passion, that get up and go in order for them to be successful and your team to be successful. I am not knocking any of those undrafted free agents, because those guys have been good, but leaning on these guys too much, to me, I just think that you're asking way too much. They're undrafted free agents for a reason, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, like, once again, a lot of people may think that just because Sean Payton isn't here, maybe the Saints are compensating by bringing these guys in. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care why they brought him in. I don't care what's the reasoning behind it. I don't care if it has something to do with Sean Payton not being there and Dennis Allen being there. All I'm saying is it's about freaking time. And I hope that this is a reoccurring thing because I want to see guys that are playmakers. I want winners. In the words of Mike Singletary, I want winners on a football team. I want to be able to know that the Saints have the weaponry to go out here to go up against some of the best teams in the league and be able to go toe-to-toe with them offensively. But I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Jarvis Landry signing with the New Orleans Saints? What are your thoughts on the Saints losing their minds in free agency, going after LSU players? What are your thoughts about the Saints actually giving Saints fans what they want? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, also a part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. And I ask that you check out the articles that I have been writing for eastwestfootball.com. I have an article out about Jarvis Landry, as well as Sean Payton, possibly coaching the Carolina Panthers. I would love to hear what you all have to say. If you have some time, give it a read. I really will appreciate your support. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?